Did you know, warrior, that Germany is considered the brothel of the world? Let me explain this. And let me explain why I'm even talking about it. Since 2002, Germany has decriminalized the sex trade, meaning you can come by sex. Sex buyers, pimps, traffickers, brothel owners, illicit spas will run. But you know how they're going to run? They're going to run because we're going to give that sex worker, their words, I'm putting it in quotations, not mine, because we at the Warriors don't believe sex is work, work is sex. That is something made up primarily from the sex trade and from the media, okay, because it's a common, you'll hear those two words constantly. We like to say people who are forced into prostitution, because basically when you have studies that say 91 to 97% of those in the sex trade are forced, that, warrior, is a definition of force, fraud, coercion, which is human trafficking. But Germany just announced, we're going to rethink this. Now, they decriminalized the sex trade in 2002. At the time, the thinking was, and still today the thinking across the globe in many places, including the United States, many places in the United States, is by decriminalizing the sex trade, it will make it safer for that sex worker. Remember, we don't use those words. Those are out there that everybody else uses. And meaning they can have labor disputes, they can have a regulated business, they can no longer be in fear of law enforcement, they will get better health care. But here's the thing. This started in Germany in 2002. Nothing got better. Very few women actually register to be a sex worker, while thousands upon thousands just went on as it was before. Meaning there's still a pimp and a trafficker, an enforcer, a sex buyer there in this horrific business. So now they've said, you know what, we've got to rethink this 23 years later. This isn't working out. It's not working out because what happened is we didn't have all these people stepping up to register themselves, seeking this health care and labor empowerment and all of this. People still went on behind the scenes, right? And so now, 23 years later, it's supply and demand. More people are trafficked. And the thinking also was, a tourism spot where men will travel from around the globe, primarily men, engage with these beautiful, and I've read this many times, beautiful German women, blonde hair, things of that nature, when the reality is the women, and there are some men, we'll leave the children out of it for a minute, are trafficked. They are trafficked from other countries, from poor countries in Africa, from, Eastern Europe. They are trafficked into Germany to be these sex slaves. And so now, 23 years later, they are thinking of having now the equality model, which is something we at the Warriors work on. It's called the Nordic model, usually across Europe. I don't want you to get confused. The equality model here in the United States, or what I like, and a term kind of come up from survivors of the sex trade themselves, the survivors model. I think that makes a lot of sense for the public to understand what exactly we're talking about. It simply means if you have this piece of legislation, those who cause harm will be held responsible. In the sex trade, mostly the prostituted person is arrested. Why are we arresting them? Old thinking from law enforcement was, okay, we'll press on them to get to who that pimp is or that trafficker. We'll get up to the next level. But that doesn't work. You're not putting some 15-year-old girl in jail who is vulnerable, who may be drug-addled, because that's what a lot of these abusers do, get them hooked on drugs so they're compliant and can't run away. And the equality model, or survivors model, will put penalties, the arrest, incarceration, and financial penalties on the sex buyer, on that pimp, on that trafficker, on that brothel owner, on that illicit spa owner, business, whatever you want to call it, which is in many cases a brothel. I'm here in New York City, but I know a lot about the state of New York and across the country. So for Germany to backtrack after 23 years and say, we want to have this survivors model, it's not working. And the demand right now, the younger the better for children, our precious kids, our future adults, our future leaders. So Germany, who says they're thinking about it, when you hear thinking about it, those are key words too. It's in the works. It's going to happen. It does not work. It does not work decriminalizing the sex trade. And the concern should be for each and every one of you. I live in New York City, but it's coming to a town near you. Behind the scenes, it's always been percolating that let's make New York City, New York State, the sex tourism capital of the country. And we're not going to have it. When you know, because you listen to me, that the demand is for children, this isn't going to happen. So what are we going to do? You're going to, I'll put links in the video, you're going to know what the survivors model is, the equality model. You're going to understand it just doesn't work. So any argument coming out of mayor-elects, people, holds no water. The best education on this is when you have a survivor of the sex trade, and there are many who will say, you cannot legalize this prostitution. We can agree the prostituted person should not be incarcerated, right? The other side is screaming, they're going to get health care. It's the same old argument all the time. They can't get any other jobs, especially if they're LGBTQIA+. This is their business. And I'm like, well, shouldn't we have some more empowering businesses where somebody's not giving them money in exchange for their body? Because understand, the sex trade today is one of extreme, I don't even know how to say it. We're a family show here, so I can't really say it. Extreme horror, violence, degradation, like you can't believe. And yet, children are the preferred product. Think about that. When you're a product, there's something wrong with that. Our children are watching and hearing everything. I agree. This is overwhelming, this is dark, and this is ugly, but it's happening. And we're not going to let New York fall into becoming the sex tourism capital of the United States. But I don't care if you live on a farm, a big city, a nice suburb, you are all in this because of the internet. Everybody's involved now. So wake up, warriors. Understand what's going on. Talk to your kids. Talk to your grandkids. I'll put some links in the body of this. Take action. Sign on to our equality model. Numbers matter. I just got off a meeting with a New York State legislator about Kids Online Safety Act, because everybody's going online to do most of this predation, right? We're not going to have it. Going into 2026, not on our watch, and not on yours either. Join us, lynswarriors.org. Honor our hashtag Community Creates Change, and each and every day you get up and you go out and be a warrior.